So right now, we are going to hand out a few winners and losers from the 2024 NCAA basketball tournament. And, while this tournament did actually end up kind of following chalk for the most part, make no mistake, we still did have a lot of surprises. We ended up with 2 number 1s, a number 4, but then a number 11 seed in the Final Four. So once again, even though it kind of followed chalk, it has still been a very fun and very unpredictable tournament. And I'm going to be handing out some winners and losers right now from this tournament. And I'm going to hand out our first winner to someone we primarily only complain about. And that is, of course, the NCAA. Because this mess of an organization has found a way to still hold a really fun tournament that has us on the edge of our seats every single year. The men's games have had over 9 million viewers per game in the early rounds, and the women had over 1 million viewers per game in the early rounds. Now, I realize we all hate the NCAA. I get it. They screw up most every single thing they touch, and yet they have still found a way to put on a really, really amazing tournament every single year. Do they get some things wrong? Yes. But this tournament is really fun, and both the men and the women's NCAA tournament are big winners again this year, just like every other year. But I'm going to give a big loser. And I'm going to give that loser to the sports prognosticators and people out there who swore they weren't going to watch the men's tournament at all. We're only going to watch the women. The men don't have a great team. The men has a bunch of teams that keep beating each other. We're not even going to watch that. We're going to watch the women. Because you know what? The women have a ton of great teams. You're all a bunch of liars. And we called this out on the Dose like a month ago. I understand the women's tournament is improving and was actually very interesting this year. But don't tell me it's comparable, because there simply aren't enough quality women's teams to be truly competitive until the very, very end. I mean, most of the games were 20-point blowouts in the early going. You couldn't even get your three-point line measured correctly. But all of you liars in the sports media, and then some of you nerds on social media, said you weren't going to watch the men. But you know what I've noticed? Since the tournament started, those people haven't said a word. They haven't spoken about it a bit. They're just talking, oh yeah, did you see the men's game last night? Wait, you mean the men's game you said you weren't going to watch? Yeah, I watched it, because I said I was going to watch it. But you said you weren't going to. And you know what? You're a huge liar, and you're a giant loser. I am going to give a winner in this tournament to the top seeds in the tournament, especially, like I said earlier, the number 1 and the number 2 seeds. Because for just the 5th time ever, all of the top 2 seeds advanced to the Sweet 16. So for all the complaining about, hey, we don't have any great teams, and for all the complaining about even the selection committee, and don't get me wrong, that doesn't let them off the hook completely. But they must have got a few things right, because those top 2 seeds did advance. Now, could that be because the committee actually did screw it up and gave some teams an easier path? Yeah, maybe. But when you seed 68 teams, you're going to have some people unhappy. It's just simple math. It is going to happen. But I'm going to give a loser. And I'm going to give it to the 3s, the 4s, and the 5 seeds, because of those 12 teams, of those 3 seeds, that were in favorite roles against lower seeds, we saw half of them eliminated by the round of 32. Kentucky, Auburn, St. Mary's, they were all beaten in the round of 64. So did the committee actually get everything right? No, clearly not. But that also is the nature of this tournament every single year. 1s and 2s this year? Great. 3s, 4s, and 5s, you didn't do so good. Okay, YouTube, make sure you go over and you check out the rest of the podcast this week, because on the podcast, we are handing out a few more winners and losers in March Madness from this tournament. And then we are going to be previewing the Final Four and the championship game. Plus, we do have an NCAA flavored Daily Dose Top 5 for you. And we do have some news to discuss, including some news that we never discuss. Yes, we're actually talking a little bit of college women's basketball. I know. Get back in your chair, because I know that's shocking. Plus, we do update the Daily Dose Bracket Challenge standings as they are right now. So if you want to know how you're doing in the Daily Dose Bracket, make sure you go over and check out the rest of the podcast. I will leave a link here in the comments on YouTube for you. Hope you all are doing well. I will see you all next Wednesday. Have a great week.